Mortality rates during Middle Ages, defined here as between 50 and 70 years, have continued to decline overall between 1970 and 2015 in most regions. This decline has been between 28 and 56%, despite a slowdown from the 1990s up to the mid-2000s in Africa and Eastern Europe due to the same mortality crisis we covered earlier. The risk of dying between age 50 and 70 varies now. It is 14% in Australia and New Zealand, it increases to 24% in Asia and climbs all the way to 33% in Africa. In addition to the overall progress in adult mortality, life expectancy has been increasing as well. Worldwide, the chance of surviving up to age 40 has increased from 64% in the 1950s to 90% in 2015. And the chance of reaching age 70 rose from 30 to 67%. We observe the rectangularization in the mortality curves in general. Note that this rectangularization is driven first by sharp declines in child mortality and declines in infectious disease mortality in early adult life, followed by declines in middle-aged mortality. Progress has happened in most regions, but the gap between major regions remains. In 2015, only half of the people in Africa are expected to reach age 70, while it is 69% in Asia, 72% in Latin America, and 78% in Europe.
So we've seen extraordinary declines in premature mortality in the past. So can these declines continue forever? Now, Patrick, demographers like you and public health specialists like me and medical scientists don't see any biologic limits to reducing premature mortality rates. What's your take?
Well, as you know, there is a lot of progress already underway, especially for the middle-aged adults. Life expectancy is still rising and mortality rates are still decreasing. So altogether, there are still substantial gains that remains possible at younger ages in many developing countries.
So let me ask you now, how do we operationalize these ideas, which are really quite powerful, into public health programs or as part of development?
Well, many of these ideas are not just academic ones. Actually, there is a complete new set of goals that have been recently adopted. They are called the Sustainable Development Goals, and they provide a useful roadmap for many countries for progress in the coming decades.
That's really encouraging to see, and I'm reminded of a quote from a very eminent epidemiologist, the late Sir Richard Doll, who taught me at Oxford, among other students. And the famous quote that he had was that the big lesson from epidemiology and demography is that death early in life should be rare, as it's becoming rare in many places, but also that death in middle age need not be common anywhere. And it is really quite exciting to think of this rather profound idea now is the basis for joint efforts by many countries towards common goals.
Indeed.
We live in exciting times.